In 2025, 2 million cars are expected to go unsold, a direct consequence of policies enacted under Donald Trump's administration. Trump believed that auto tariffs would keep companies in the U.S., but instead, companies are leaving faster than ever. Major automakers like Toyota and Honda have moved their production to Mexico after facing steep losses. Toyota lost $12 billion and Honda $8 billion. Trump's decision to impose a 25% tariff on imported cars drove companies to Mexico, where there are no such tariffs. Manufacturers like Nissan, Hyundai, and Kia quickly realized they could avoid tariffs and risks by shifting operations south of the border. Although Toyota and Honda initially invested over $10 billion in U.S. production, the tariffs forced them to shut down factories to protect their businesses. Kia is even developing a new pickup truck for the U.S. market, not because of Trump's policies, but because they must avoid additional costs. Despite Trump's belief that tariffs would protect American jobs, companies are running away, and car prices are skyrocketing. Car prices are no longer just rising slightly, they are increasing drastically. Estimates suggest price jumps ranging from $3,000 to $12,000 for certain models, with SUVs seeing an average hike between $3,000 and $5,000. Although automakers initially absorbed some costs, they cannot sustain it forever. Once tariffs settle in, quality will drop, production will slow, and small suppliers, many of whom employ fewer than 50 workers, will struggle or shut down entirely without government support. As a result, the U.S. auto industry is not only losing companies but also suffocating its small businesses. Car repairs will cost more, car loan interest rates have climbed to 6–7%, and imported car prices are predicted to rise by 10–15% this year. By 2025, the U.S. auto market is expected to collapse further, with 2 million fewer car sales because consumers simply won't afford the new sky-high prices. People will be forced to drive older cars longer, unable to finance replacements. Workers in states like Michigan, Ohio, and Tennessee, where auto manufacturing is heavily concentrated, will be hit the hardest. An estimated 50,000 workers are expected to lose their jobs. Trump's tariff decision not only drove manufacturers away but devastated the very workers and communities he claimed to protect. Toyota, Honda, and Nissan wasted no time adapting to the tariffs. Instead of fighting back, they optimized their strategies. Toyota ramped up hybrid production in Japan, preparing for the American market's growing demand for fuel-efficient vehicles. Honda shifted production from North America to Southeast Asia, targeting Thailand and Vietnam to save costs and protect profits. Nissan aggressively entered the affordable EV market, offering low-cost models that appealed to price-conscious American buyers. Japanese automakers didn't just survive, they thrived. They ramped up hybrid and EV production, not just for America but for global markets, investing heavily in technology and optimizing their global supply chains. Their quiet, strategic moves allowed them to expand their market share even further, while the U.S. industry floundered. Despite Trump's efforts, U.S. car manufacturers failed to fill the market gaps left by Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. Today, these Japanese brands control about 35% of the U.S. passenger vehicle market, with Toyota leading as the top-selling brand. Trump's tariffs didn't just hurt automakers, they devastated the entire supply chain. Parts suppliers, logistics companies, and car dealerships all faced sharp declines, leading to job losses and economic instability, especially in key states like Michigan, Texas, and California. The ripple effects of these tariffs threaten entire regional economies, not just car companies. Meanwhile, Japan's automakers doubled down on EVs and cutting-edge technology, solidifying their dominance without any direct confrontation. They innovated quietly while the U.S. auto industry collapsed. Yet, despite mounting evidence of economic trouble, Trump and Fox News continue to insist that everything is fine, even as financial markets plummet. The U.S. stock market is in freefall, but Trump maintains that the economy will bounce back, a position that seems dangerously out of touch. Financial experts warn of a potential recession, but Trump clings to denial. Since the tariffs on China were implemented, the S&P 500 has dropped over 15%. Thousands of small businesses have suffered massive losses, and American consumers are experiencing a tangible decline in income. Still, Trump remains firm in his stance, ignoring the clear signs of economic distress. The reality is stark. Trump's tariff strategy has backfired, inflicting lasting damage on the U.S. economy while countries like Japan quietly seized the opportunity to dominate the market through innovation, efficiency, and smart global investment. Trump thought auto tariffs would keep companies in the U.S., but instead, they're running faster than he is when he's being sued. Toyota and Honda have kicked production out of the U.S. and moved their entire operations to Mexico. Toyota lost $12 billion and Honda lost $8 billion. Why? Trump decided to impose a 25% tariff on imported cars. What we're going to be doing is a 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. But the big players just ran off to Mexico to make money. Why is Mexico so attractive? No tariffs. That's it. Companies like Nissan, Hyundai, and Kia couldn't care less about Trump's advice. They don't have to pay tariffs or deal with risks, which is why they moved all production to Mexico. Toyota and Honda had invested over $10 billion in U.S. production but are now shutting down factories to avoid Trump's tariffs. Kia is developing a new pickup truck, possibly for U.S. production, not because Trump is helping, but because they need to avoid tariffs. The big question: does Trump realize that creating tariffs won't keep companies here? Instead, they're running away. The rising car prices aren't just rumors, they're a painful reality. Car prices have gone up, and it's uncertain how much more they will rise. Some reports show price increases between $5,500 and $10,000. Other reports predict jumps from $2,000 to $12,000. Automakers aren't sure exactly how they'll adjust, but the fact is, you could be paying an extra $3,000 to $5,000 for an SUV because of this policy. The numbers don't lie. A 25% tariff makes everything more expensive. Toyota said they wouldn't raise prices immediately, but why? They are absorbing the costs, including engines, transmissions, and everything else you can think of. However, if tariffs aren't reduced, quality and production will drop. Small suppliers won't survive, and the result will be simple: car prices will keep soaring. A parts shortage is already threatening the industry because even one missing part can shut down production immediately. 80% of automotive suppliers have fewer than 50 employees, and they are struggling because they can't withstand these high tariffs. Small companies don't have the capital to deal with this volatility. They will close within the next year if there's no support from the government or large corporations. Trump's policies aren't just pushing big companies away, they're destroying small businesses. The result? A collapsing industry, and workers will pay the price. The cost of fixing cars is also going up because dealers have to repair cars before selling them. These higher costs are being passed directly to consumers. Car loan interest rates have hit 6% to 7%, an unheard of high. Import car prices are forecast to rise by 10% to 15% this year, thanks to Trump and his decisions. So, what do these numbers mean? 2 million cars won't be sold in 2025 because consumers can't afford to buy new cars at sky-high prices. The market will stall. High interest rates and inflation will leave consumers with only one option: keep driving their old cars until they can't run anymore. The U.S. auto industry is facing a crisis. Workers who dedicated years to automobile factories are now facing unemployment. 50,000 workers will lose their jobs in 2025. Regions like Michigan, Ohio, and Tennessee, where auto factories are concentrated, are witnessing a wave of closures. So why doesn't Trump consider these hardworking people when making these decisions? Thousands of workers are losing their jobs because of an unreasonable tariff decision. Factories are shrinking. Workers are losing jobs. Local communities are struggling. Trump slapped a 25% tariff on imported cars, sending Toyota, Honda, and Nissan into a tailspin. Prices are skyrocketing. Deliveries are delayed. American consumers are about to pay the price. But the Japanese companies didn't just sit back. Toyota ramped up hybrid production in Japan to meet the growing U.S. demand for fuel-efficient cars. Toyota isn't just holding its ground, it's expanding its market share in the U.S., where consumers are focused on fuel economy more than ever. Honda reacted quickly too, cutting production in North America and shifting to Southeast Asia, specifically Thailand and Vietnam, to avoid Trump's tariffs. They saved costs, protected profits, and optimized operations like seasoned pros. Nissan didn't miss a beat either. They jumped into the affordable EV market, pulling in price-conscious American buyers. They crushed doubts with a low-price strategy, making Americans rush into their EV models. Japan didn't just react to tariffs. They seized the opportunity to ramp up EV and hybrid production, taking full advantage of America's growing fuel efficiency trend. They didn't shout or engage in a tariff war. They optimized supply chains and invested in technology like quiet ninjas in the shadows. While the U.S. fumbled with tariffs, Japan released new models and boosted production outside the U.S. Toyota accelerated hybrid and EV production, not just for America but for global markets. Honda and Nissan followed suit, rolling out new models to expand market share. Toyota didn't just invest in products, they invested in their global supply chains, cutting production costs and improving productivity. Japan didn't just survive the tariffs, they thrived, knocking down every obstacle with smart strategy. They didn't just hold their ground, they took control of the market. Trump thought tariffs would magically fix the U.S. auto industry. In reality, it was like shooting himself in the foot. The high tariffs made American-made cars more expensive and couldn't fill the gap left by Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. This caused dealerships across the U.S. to scramble with delivery delays and higher prices. Despite Trump's hopes, domestic sales didn't increase. U.S. car manufacturers still couldn't compete with Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. Japanese models continued to dominate with their reliability, fuel efficiency, and lower cost of ownership. Today, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, and Mazda control about 35% of the U.S. passenger vehicle market, with Toyota leading as the top-selling brand. This shows how Japan's automakers have consistently met U.S. market demands, while American companies fell short. The consequence? Trump's tariffs didn't just fall short, they created a long-lasting disaster. They devastated the U.S. supply chain, parts suppliers, and logistics companies tied to Japanese automakers. States like Michigan, Texas, and California, the heart of America's auto industry, are screaming warnings about job losses and declining revenues. Parts suppliers, manufacturing plants, and dealerships are feeling the pinch, contributing to growing economic instability in key regions. These companies and states are paying the price for a political decision, jeopardizing jobs and revenues for millions of Americans. The damage won't stop with car companies. It will ripple through all related industries, causing even more turmoil in regions that rely heavily on the auto industry. Japan didn't just take a hit, they capitalized on the opportunity by doubling down on EVs, hybrids, and cutting-edge technology. They've solidified their long-term dominance in the U.S. auto market. Japan beat Trump's tariff strategy without firing a single shot, just by innovating and optimizing global supply chains. While Trump's tariffs hurt the U.S. auto industry, Japan took over the market quietly, efficiently, and without drama. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and Fox News continue to reassure the public that everything's fine, even as the financial markets freefall like an out-of-control plane. Are they lying to us while it plummets? The U.S. stock market is in freefall, but Trump insists the economy will bounce back. It's like a driver speeding toward a cliff refusing to admit danger. Investors and experts have warned of a recession, But Trump sticks to his narrative, claiming financial indicators will recover. Is this a calm strategy during a crisis, or denial of reality? Since Trump implemented tariffs on China, the S&P 500 has dropped by over 15%. Thousands of small businesses have suffered billions in losses. American consumers are feeling it in their incomes. Yet Trump stubbornly defends his belief that the economy isn't affected and will bounce back. But the reality? It paints an entirely different picture. Trump's loyal companion now finds itself in a dilemma while the economy is in crisis. Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, appeared on Fox News calling for China. The ball is in China's court. They need to do business with the United States. They need the best thing on the face of the planet, and that is the American consumer. It's like someone stuck in a deep hole but still calling for help without realizing that they dug the hole themselves. Fox News, which has always prided itself as the voice of the people, now faces a dilemma as it tries to justify a government that's driving the economy into chaos. It seems Fox has forgotten that it was Trump's tariff policies that led the U.S. to this point. Yet they continue to defend a president whose policies are creating turmoil in the country. Even as everything becomes clear, Fox News keeps trying to maintain Trump's image, contradicting itself and making the situation even more complicated. One of Trump's most shocking statements was about the Holocaust. Referring to this tragic event, Trump said, "And you know, when I watched some of those people in the Capitol, our people don't carry ropes on their side, and you know this and that, our people aren't scaling." This is a shocking comment not only to Holocaust survivors but to the entire world. It's like saying, although your house burned down, at least you still have the sofa to sit on. This statement was as inappropriate as a child downplaying a car accident without understanding that the victim may be in critical condition. It shows a complete lack of respect for history and the victims of the Holocaust. It left both the public and Fox News bewildered. While the economy is on the brink of recession, Trump continues to make statements as if he's unaware of the situation. When Jerome Powell, the chairman of the U.S. Federal Reserve, warned about economic volatility, Trump denied it all and blamed the warnings for the market downturn. This is the kind of denial that no one believes anymore. It's like a driver crashing into a wall and saying, "It's no big deal." That's exactly what Trump is doing, denying every warning and blaming everything but himself. The truth is, it's his own policies that have created this economic instability and looming recession. Instead of listening to expert advice, Trump continues to deny reality and blame external factors, digging the economy deeper into crisis. Fox News, long aligned with Trump, is now struggling to defend these obvious mistakes. They try to justify every decision of Trump, but the more they do, the deeper they get into their own mess. It's undeniable that the entire U.S. is suffering the consequences of these policies. Yet, instead of offering practical solutions, Fox News continues to defend a government that is pushing the economy into deeper crisis. While Fox commentators try to defend Trump, more and more American citizens feel helpless and disillusioned. Surely Fox News has forgotten that the role of the media is to reflect the truth, not to defend a government that has muddled the nation. Public trust is increasingly fading for both Trump and the media outlets that defend him. Trump has not only shocked people with his comments about the Holocaust but also with his strange statements about the Capitol protests. Hey look, the unselect committee of political thugs. These horrible people. Democrats and two of the worst Republicans in history. This isn't the kind of statement a serious president should be making. It sounds more like someone struggling in a political and economic war that he himself created. These vague remarks not only diminish the respect people have for Trump, but they also complicate the situation even further. The lack of clarity in these statements doesn't just erode trust in Trump. It makes people wonder if he is capable of making important decisions for the country. If a president can't speak clearly and sensibly, how can the public trust his leadership during such a critical time? Can the U.S. economy recover from these decisions, or is this just the sign of a full-blown economic crisis ahead? There's the childish nicknames, The crazy conspiracy theories. This weird obsession with crowd sizes. I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day. From a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous. Oh boy. Trump is the kind of guy you just can't escape. Like that neighbor who's always out there with his leaf blower right outside your window, loud, relentless, and making you want to smash the damn thing. But nope. You've got to listen to it all day long. From the childish nicknames to the crazy conspiracy theories, it's non-stop. Then comes Kimmel with the perfect jab. He compares Trump exactly to that neighbor, the guy who keeps the leaf blower going non-stop, just blowing nonsense about crowd sizes and fake victories on repeat. Sounds harmless, right? But this neighbor isn't just annoying, he's been jamming up American politics for years. And that's Kimmel's genius, using the leaf blower metaphor to poke right through the so-called grandeur of Trump. Because if that's what leadership looks like, maybe Trump should try turning that thing off once in a while. But of course, in Kimmel's eyes, Trump and his never-ending leaf blower, they're just one big joke. Let's be honest, it was a terrible night last night. It was a terrible night for women, for children, for the hundreds of thousands of hardworking immigrants who make this country go, for healthcare, for our climate, for science, for journalism, for justice, for free speech. It was a terrible night for poor people, for the middle class, for seniors who rely on Social Security, for our allies in Ukraine. Kimmel keeps hammering Trump's weaknesses, and this time it's not about the leaf blower. It's about acting. Remember The Apprentice? That show where Trump pretended to be some kind of CEO genius running an empire? But was that really the case? Kimmel throws out the question, if Trump were the CEO of a company, could that company even survive? The answer is no. His empire almost collapsed right from the start, trying to keep up the facade of being brilliant while in reality it was nothing more than a joke. Trump wasn't a genius entrepreneur, he was the guy with the cold stare, pulling off Hollywood tricks to fool everyone into thinking he was a great boss. The Apprentice was like a rotting wooden boat Trump kept paddling, hoping people would believe it was the Titanic. But Kimmel sinks it, pointing out how someone who's faking it like that could actually rise to become president. A masterclass in top-tier humor. Kimmel says Trump is just a B-list actor putting on that scowl whenever anyone dared question his deals. Mr. Speaker, members of Congress, please welcome Diaper Donnie, Man Boom, Mussolini, Captain Bonespurs, Moralardo, the Notorious Pig, General Von Shits and Pants, Boom's Boy Puckett, His Flatulency the President of the United States, Donald Jelly Belly Trump. Oh my God. Melania Trump. She's always been as cold as a statue, eyes sharp as knives, but no one ever noticed that cutting gaze. Melania sat there silent, in contrast to Trump, who was forced to smile like he was trying not to let Kimmel and Obama's stares pierce his heart. But how can you hide it when everything unfolding looks like a political comedy show? For the first time, we saw Melania unable to hide her displeasure. Her eyes seemed to say it all. I can't take it anymore. And don't think her silence meant she was calm. That icy expression was just a mask. On the inside, there was an underlying fury brewing. Kimmel and Obama exposed everything, and Melania, though present, could only watch with a face that said, I have no idea what to do anymore. Donald Trump's plan is to do what he did last time. Give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. And the reason some people think, wow, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good, is because it was my economy. We had 75 straight months of job growth that I handed over to him. It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do anything. Obama didn't just call Trump out directly. He made the entire Trump dream crumble quickly by showing everyone that it was Obama who had cleaned up the mess, while Trump just came in to pick up the scraps. And yet Trump is hailed as some savior? The truth is the tax cuts Trump implemented were nothing more than a stunt to please the billionaires, while ordinary Americans got nothing but higher living costs. For Obama, everything was clear. He worked tirelessly for 8 years to pull the economy out of the wreckage left by the Republicans. But Trump did nothing but undermine Obama's efforts, patting himself on the back, claiming he was the savior of the economy. But if you look closely, the only ones benefiting from those decisions were the billionaires and big corporations. Trump was just like a salesman pushing a product, while there was nothing inside but empty promises.